Another big company out with results this week was Telstra, where profit, revenue and the dividend increased, thanks partly to the telco picking up tens of thousands of new customers who left Optus after last year's data breach. Well, Telstra reaffirmed its full-year profit guidance, but did note that some customer resistance is there to recent price increases. So this week I spoke with the recently appointed Chief Executive, Vicki Brady, and asked her about the impact of those price hikes.
At the start of the half we've just reported, we did flow through some pricing increases in mobile. And what we're seeing is the response to that was as we expected. And, you know, recently we made changes over the last couple of years to make sure we took away lock-in contracts. We've got a multi-brand strategy. So those choices and options that give customers flexibility are so important through this period.
But obviously, as a business, you need the flexibility to be able to move price, and so that gives you flexibility as your costs are clearly rising as well.
Absolutely, and when we made those changes last year, so we were very clear and transparent with our customers. We put in place an annual review of our pricing because we wanted to give customers that certainty that come 1 July, that would be the period where if we did make price changes, they would flow through, Ross.
Now, one of the areas I can see costs rising is via your enterprise bargaining agreement, the deal you did, and therefore wages costs are going up. You've also got an increased headcount. That's as a result of acquisition. So this is something where you've got costs building up inside Telstra right now.
Yeah, and when you look at our labour costs and our employee numbers for the half, you're spot on, Ross. So we had the acquisition of Digicel, so that was a big addition to our business. And importantly, you can also see we made the decisions to bring our calls back on shore for our consumer and small business customers, and we bought back the ownership of around our store network. So those things flow into those labour and headcount numbers.
There's also a situation where you've been able to pick up market share, especially in the wake of the Optus cyber attack. So is this a question right now as to what you do with price versus trying to chase more customers, more market share?
Yeah, look, as we're looking at the business, there's a lot of things to consider. So firstly, delivering for customers. You know, our customers demand very high quality services like their mobile experience, and so that does take investment. We've got one of the world's leading mobile networks, so we've got to make sure that we've got that balance right. We've also got shareholders to consider, Ross. So we've got more than 1.2 million shareholders across the country, and so being able to sustain and look to grow our dividend over time is important. So we're weighing all of those things up, so we never take a pricing decision lightly. A lot of factors come into account.
You've said this week that Telstra is a growth business. Now, this is something that you'll want your period as chief executive to be defined by. Of course, it's traditionally been seen as more of a utility-style business that pays out pretty handy dividends. So what's the catalyst to create faster growth at Telstra?
Yeah, and as you saw in our results today, the big driver right now is our mobiles business, and I do think we'll see continued growth in that business. I don't know what it's like for you, Ross, but if I ever forget my mobile phone, it's like I've lost my right arm. So people's dependence on mobile, and we've got advanced capabilities in 5G just switching on as well. So I think mobile will continue to be a driver. We've got the business of Digicel coming in that adds some growth. We've got our fixed businesses that over time will see return to growth, and we've got areas like infrastructure and health. So it is an exciting time for us. We've got multiple parts of the business over the next few years that I think will be important contributors to growth.
And how important is it to have a separate business for your fixed infrastructure assets, the InfraCo fixed business, as it's called? How important is that to be able to quarantine the traditional utility style of the business compared with the faster growing areas of broadband and also your mobile business?
Yeah, I think, Ross, separating that internally and being able to give that transparency to the market, and importantly, how the team now run that business as an infrastructure business. It has opened up opportunities, both in terms of how we can sell those products and services, how we run it efficiently, So it's been a really important step forward for us because those assets and business, it was kind of hidden inside Telstra, and that infrastructure business on its own, it's a significant business, so it's been a great step to run it independently as a standalone unit internally.
Can I just finish up by asking you about the current environment? You can see in the United States right now that inflation seems to be sticky. Here in Australia, there are questions about whether the inflation will disappear or whether it remains. Now, in America, you can see that companies, tech companies, telcos are starting to shed workers. Given the fact there's already a shortage of workers here, what's your own view about this? Is it a case of where you're trying to get more productivity out of the workers? Or is it a situation you'll keep trying to employ where you can and try and grow the business?
Yeah, so where we're at the moment, and you're right, there are so many predictions about what the next few years might look like economically. Every day I seem to read a different view. So where we're at right now, as I said, we onshored our call centres for our consumer and small business customers and brought our stores back in-house. So our focus at the moment is absolutely recruiting and retaining great teams of people in our business. And look, I sit, I guess, at the optimistic end. I hope as a country we can manage to deliver that soft landing. So right now that's our focus. And under T25 we do have cost out ambitions, and they are about productivity and efficiency inside our business.